G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt. We're looking at the Rosehill meeting this Saturday. We've got the Starlight Stakes, the Festival Stakes. But Mark Shean, before we jump into any of the meeting, give us an update on what's happening weather-wise.
Yeah, pretty grim here. A lot of rain about, has been for the last day or so. Canterbury might be a question mark tonight with the track inspection at 11 a.m. and I think more rain predicted tomorrow. So, yeah, it's going to be wet trackers for sure, heavy trackers on Saturday.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, if it is indeed bottomless and they do race, what are you expecting track-wise?
When you get into the 10 range, I think just ability to handle the ground is more important than any pattern. Don't necessarily think you'd want to be coming from last, but I look, backmarkers, I think, and swoopers would be getting more of a chance than they would on a dry Rosehill, put it that way.
All right, quaddie legs, here we come. We'll start with the Starlight Stakes, which is a listed race over the 1100. In terms of the market, Tambo's Mate for Tony Gollan and J-Mac is $4.20 in favourite. Snapdancer's 5, Southern Lads 7, Written Beauty's $8.50. Then your double figures for Volpine, Edison and onwards. Mark Shean, any thoughts here in the first leg?
I think this is a trap race for me. Not a lot of confidence here. I was leaning towards Snapdancer, but I am a little bit concerned that she doesn't really have any form on this sort of going. She did win a trial on a heavy track recently at Rosehill, but she was left in front in a very slow tempo, so that might have flattered her. So I've got a question mark about her, but I was looking for the lightweights here. First up, 53, sort of falls into place for what I was looking for, but just a little bit worried about that ground. I suppose Tambo's Mate has a win on a heavy 10. In Queensland, which is obviously going to stand him in good stead. Southern Lad, well, he's got poor second up form, but John O'Shea seems to have just changed that pattern a little bit, trialling him in between runs. So maybe that will just erase that poor second up. He has got some good wet form in the past. Edison's a good wet tracker as well. So a bit of a tricky race for me. At this stage, I'll probably be on Tambo's Mate, considering the heavy 10 win.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, any thoughts?
Depending on how the field holds up with scratchings and so on, I'm looking a little bit wider for my main players in this race. One of the ones Mark mentioned, Edison, who loves the wet. 1100's a shade shorter than you'd like for him even first up, but his wet record is so good. He's a pretty classy horse on his day too, and I think, just the heaviness of the ground might dull the sharpness of some of the other sprinters and give him his chance over 1100 and his double figure odds. Another one at big odds, races on the speed is Volpine on the limit weights. Her form is very mixed, to be honest, but she's put in some really high rating performances, including one 2 starts ago behind Quantico. You could argue that Randwick 1200 is where she produces her very best, but given the wet conditions and not all these are going to handle it, I think she's probably worth specking at double figure odds as well. And of the others, Southern Lad, I think, is just absolutely flying. He flew in the Ramornie, then was given a break, trialled really well. Great win first up and trialled well again since. I think he's just airborne. 59 on the very heavy ground is a minus, but I think getting a price like $7 about a horse in that sort of form, I wouldn't want to lose on him. So, look, it's not going to be the biggest spend race of my life, but I could entertain 3, 8 and 1.
Okay. Let's have a look at the festival. Race 8 over 1500. It's Group 3 and Ellsberg's the favourite at $2.90. Brutality $7. You've got 10 about Order Again, Bandersnatch and Art Cadeau, and then it's $13 for Lena's Hero. Mark Shean, any angle here?
Look, I thought Ellsberg had a good chance, but just a bit skinny for me at that price. He has had one start on heavy ground. It was only his second start in a race, and he performed okay. Look, he's a big heavy type who doesn't really look like a wet tracker looking at him. I know he's probably coming through the much stronger form lines than some of these other runners, but just that price has got me a little bit worried, although the blinkers go back on, or one blinker goes back on, one-eyed blinker, which I think is a big plus for him. I think Brutality's going really well this time in. I did mention him after he ran home first up, and then he made up good ground on a track that favoured horses near the lead last time out. He is a back marker, but he is a very good heavy tracker, so I'm with him 13, and I think Order Again always sprints well fresh and a good wet tracker. So 13 from 3. Ellsberg could easily win, but it's just a price factor with me.
Okay, Mark Rhoden.
Yeah, I thought Ellsberg was a bit short too. And if you're going away from him, there's plenty of different ways you could go. Look, without going into all of them, yeah, I certainly could entertain Brutality. Definitely the wet tracker down in the weights. I like it. But just going even a little bit wider than that in the market, Bandersnatch's best ever run was on a heavy 9 or 10 at Randwick. It was a very wet track anyway. And look, admittedly, he did probably get the pattern to suit him that day, but he did at least show an aptitude for this sort of ground. And around $10, I think you could make a case for him. And the real wet tracker, probably the best wet tracker in the race, is number 5, Stockman. Look, he does want further, but it's heavy 10 now and still raining, so if we're getting to the absolute outer limits of what they can race on, I'd have something on him at 20 to 1 plus, just because you can guarantee he'll handle it. I've absolutely no idea how far off the lead he'll be here. It could be anything, but yeah, just at the price of 20 to 1 plus, given he's such a good wet tracker, I could back him as well. So 2 and 5, but again, low confidence.
Race 9 on the card is a benchmark 78 over 1,300, and Brooks Spire's $5 in favourite from Blazer Trail and Jump the Broom, which is $6.50 each. Expat is $7. You've got Loch Lomond, $10. Lady of Luxury, $12, and so's Boudoir. I'm sure I've just butchered a few of those. Mark Shean?
Yeah, well, Jump the Broom and Lady of Luxury in at Canterbury tonight and haven't been scratched from that meeting, so if they get that far into the meeting at Canterbury tonight, or even if they're on, so that could be a big deduction there if Jump the Broom comes out quoted there at $6.50. Look, I thought they both had good chances here, Lady Luxury and Jump the Broom, but they're obviously going to Canterbury if they proceed there. That's left me with Brooks Spear or Brooks Spire. Very good first up, lightly framed, does handle the wet, and she's had a nice trial since that last run where she was a bit disappointing but had a tough run. So I'm prepared to forgive her that failure. I think Blazer Trail will probably be lucky to run here. I'm not sure that he's all that flash in the ground. Some question marks hang over Holyfield and Expat. Expat's a very good wet tracker, and so is Holyfield. They're trying to get him to settle in his trials. He's been ridden back rather than on speed. Expat's got 3 wins in the heavy and probably will be labelled urgent from an outside barrier. So, yeah, a race that I thought number 4, Brooks Spear, would run well in.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, your thoughts here?
Yeah, but I think Brooks Spire's the way to go. Will be in the firing line, Nash on, and handles the ground. So, yeah, looks probably the clearest way to go in a reasonably open race. I was keen to find Expat on the wet ground, but reading this morning, he's had a setback. He had a pretty severe abrasion to a hind leg, I think, and is going to be inspected again by the vets before he's allowed to run. So that's not ideal, but he certainly likes soft ground, and I think he's a chance. Away from those two, yeah, the Blazer Trail is outstanding first up, but they'll scratch him for sure. You think he's just not a wet tracker. And as Mark mentioned, quite a few of these were in tonight. A lot of dual acceptors, which could change the shape of the market. But I think Brooks Spire is a reasonable bet, and Expat the danger of all as well. But yeah, have to wait and see there.
Kobe Rock's a pretty good wet tracker too, isn't it, Mark?
Yes, he is. And trialling all right, I thought. Did you?
Yeah, he's been ridden out, but I think he's not one of those flash trialers. I think he's a bit lazy and needs a bit of urging.
And it probably being ridden out, probably not a bad thing, getting his fitness levels up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that brings us to the last, which is another really open field. Benchmark 78 once more over 1,500. We've got Francesco Guardi, $6 and favourite from Bless, Grand, Rumore, and Too Much Caviar around that $7 mark. You've got Lease at 10, Sacred Command at 11, Formentura and Mayfair Spirit at $13. So, Mark Shean, if you can find the winner, you'll get a price by the looks.
Yeah, look, I was on Francesco at Rosehill the other day, $7, run about $3.50. It was just straight to the sick bag. Look, he's still, I've got to say, he still hasn't looked any good in the coat in all his runs here. He's only had 2 runs in Sydney, but he hasn't looked right in the coat yet. He has got a decent run on wet ground in a listed race in the UK. He seemed to get through that ground pretty well there, so that should set him up okay. Look, he's got a good draw in McDonald in a race that I'm not overly fussed in. I think he's probably the way to go. Blesk, I'm not overly sure about him on really heavy. And Sacred Command, he's worn me down, but he does have a placing in New Zealand on heavy ground, so maybe that's what he's looking for, a little bit wetter. But he was disappointed at Newcastle. He loomed to win and put up the white flag. But 9 for me, but I think, I wouldn't be throwing my last on it.
No, okay. Mark Rhoden, can you find us anything?
No, you can just commiserate with Mark, though. I was on Francesco at the good odds too at the midweek meeting. And how was the late jockey change? Joe McDonald decided to have the day off as well. Thanks a lot. Anyway, I won't dwell on it. I've got him on top 2. This is a bit less straightforward on the heavy 10. There's not a great deal of wet form among the main chances. Grand Moore was ordinary at Warwick Farm on wet 2 starts ago, before a good run at Newcastle last start. Had one okay run on soft overseas, and the Night of Thunder breed as a group are very good on wet, but I've still don't know if Grand Moore falls in that category or not, to be honest. Too much Cadia, no, it will be up on speed, which if it's coming along out in front on the wet ground, that might be hard to get past, but I've no idea if he'll handle it or not. And then, after things like Bluff and Bluster, who has a bit of soft form. And I didn't mind that hero at big odds, but again, I don't know if the ground's what he wants either. Look, 9 and 7 on top for the record, but I really don't know which way to go with this race.
All right, that brings us to the end. I'll get your best plays on the card. Mark Shean, I'll start with you.
Yeah, tough day at the office. Look, I was on race 3, Rebel Rama. I was on it the other day. It was another ride from that meeting at Rosehill that is best forgotten. They were winning all up near the lead. It was back last, made up a stack of ground. Won on a heavy track first up, so I think it's got a good chance. And I think if you back a winner, make it a prisoner there on Saturday. I thought Media Starguest in race 6 has been crying out for a wet track, so he might be a bit of value, although he has been backed already.
Okay, Media Starguest, $8. Rebel Rama, $3.80 there in race 3. Mark Rhoden.
Yeah, not a day for labelling things, I thought, but I came up with the same one Mark did in race 3, Rebel Rama. Looking for 2,000 now and wet ground, no problem. And the wide gate and the get-back racing style it has won't be as big an issue tomorrow, I suspect, so probably gets its chance to win again.
Okay, sounds good. Look, watch this space over the next 24 hours. We'll see if Canterbury goes ahead, and then just stay tuned to what the stewards bring up tomorrow morning. So if they race, all the best of luck to you both, but otherwise we'll catch up next week. Till then, guys, go well.